You're watching EVH Gear TV, brought to you by Design 39 Media. Visit design39media.com for all your website photography and video production needs. Microphones for EVH Gear TV are provided by Rode Microphones, and official Van Halen merchandise is provided by VanHalenStore.com. Now, here's your host from Ontario, Canada, EVH Gear artist Eric Broadbent.
Hey everyone, it is the weekend. Happy Friday to you all. It's so exciting. We have a great show lined up tonight, and I brought myself a date. Yes, that's true. I have myself a date. And here she is, Mrs. Smith. How are you?
Hello, Friday night, Edward Van Halen super band. Get ready to party.
Let's get it started.
It might not be 1994 anymore, but we can still party like it is.
I love it. So you know about this Eddie fellow, do you? I see you got some stripes, but you know about this Eddie character?
Well, of course I do. I call him Edward because we're not on that basis yet.
Gotcha.
Yes. First of all, Eric, hello. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Friday.
It's
You're
you know
ready.
what?
You're ready.
It's great. It's great. I've got an attractive lady here for the show tonight that can kick my ass on guitar.
Wait, I'm going to choose the whammy bar. Hold on. That's very sweet of you to say, Eric. I feel like I'm a mess. I just came from a Museum of Modern Art Board of Trustees meeting. I'm on the verge of being ousted, and I'm not going to get into why, but it's all to say rock and roll and music is always such a release for me.
But they might look at it differently, don't they?
I don't even get me started on the women's club. The women's club are tittering about me, and they're jealous.
Yes.
They're probably watching right now.
I know.
But I'm trying to really separate and just say, yes, I'm living this life. Yes, I'm living this untraditional guitar lady lifestyle, and it is different from them. And it doesn't matter what they think.
That's true. That's true. And you're one of these people who kind of separate that, and you walk your own path. You don't listen. I know it's a little difficult sometimes. You have to listen to them. You're in these PTA meetings and all these different boards and all these different things like that, and it's a little.
Well, I often take the minutes.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm listening, and they're kind of talking about me, but it's very subtle.
Yes.
It's sort of underhanded, and they're like, okay, we're talking about the canapes for the gala, but this is really about me.
Yes.
This is really about me. So to come to my studio in an undisclosed location, I thank you for keeping the location private.
Of course, yeah.
To come here to be able to kind of open up the sounds and to give voice to grief and rage is an absolute honor. And of course, to talk about this, my new passion of Edward Van Halen.
We tend to talk about that a lot on the show, and I know you're new to the subject matter for that matter, but we'll bring you up to speed a little bit on it. We'll try to give you a little bit of Eddie knowledge here, and the fans over in our live chat will probably communicate with you as well and talk about our idol here as well on the show. At least as far as this show goes, it's Eddie Van Halen is talked about a lot, but we'll get into some more as well.
Educated.
And how long have you been doing this?
I know. What's that?
How long have you been doing this? Like you said, it's new to you. How long have you been doing the guitar thing?
Well, in the 90s, I was kidnapped and held for ransom by a Norwegian death metal band.
Goodness.
Who suffered the Stockholm Syndrome. And if that seems like a lot of Scandinavia for one anecdote, welcome to my life! But no, I'm serious. I was leading an utterly conventional lifestyle. I was really just sort of a walking Chanel suit. I was one of the women's club gals. And I didn't know what life could be. I didn't know what life couldn't be. I was in a trance, and I was married, and there was money, and there were cars and vacations and all that, but I was miserable. And these death metalers they were really after my husband's money because he was prominent. They snatched me up, stuffed me in a closet for 3 months. And the only thing in the closet, well, it was the flower guitar was in the closet. That everyone, to say that I own the 2 coolest guitars in the world. Should I get the flower guitar?
You got to get the flower guitar. That's great.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me plug it in. Hold on.
All right, let's do it. It's a pretty guitar.
I love it. It's got a thing on the side. See that? See that?
Oh, I see that. Yeah.
Now, Eric, this is an Ibanez guitar with flowers. And I didn't even know the name of it. It was in this closet. It had been discarded.
Don't they call it jam or something like that?
It's a jam.
Jam, that's it.
It sounds really good. So I was stuck in this closet. Nothing to do. And I'm groping around in the darkness in a Chanel suit. And I remembered my music lessons.
Perfect.
And so I ultimately, to survive, I joined the band, took over the band, and then there was all the infighting, and then there was an incredible tour, and we were a big deal amongst some people who were part of a subpopulation that followed a subgenre of Norwegian death metal. And although that was only about 20 people at the time, it was like being a celebrity. And then, of course, the police caught on. There was a standoff in the house, a hail of bullets, fire. The boys all died. I went back to New York. And people find this hard to believe. But I kind of just forgot I could do it. I just forgot I could do it. And then there was a trigger.
Okay.
So it lay dormant. The talent lay dormant. And then a trigger. The women's club was the trigger. So I'm not going to get into it. But I found myself in the East Village of Manhattan playing a guitar with a little battery-operated amp to some rock and roll song. And then there's a person with a camera. And he took a live video. And then Guitar World shared it, and a million people saw it. A fashion designer saw me, put me in a Gucci commercial. And then there was, Shred for Your Life battle, which I won in the Lower East Side. The crown's over there. And all these invitations. And then Mrs. Smith started a band. Mrs. Smith review our gear. And then Mrs. Smith, Mezzi Barba Amplification would like to speak with you. And so it's been all unfolding about over the last year or year and a half.
Well,
That's the story.
You know what I'm thinking about? You telling me this story here this evening, it just made me think of something. You could actually be an international woman of mystery and be like the James Bond, and the guitar could be your cover. Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm thinking about this. Maybe we should talk about this. I know there's, we have to be careful what we talk about spies and whatnot on the air, but I'm thinking maybe
Right.
go with an angle of international woman of mystery. Hey.
Right, and so I'm solving crimes.
Yeah.
I mean, I did have a detective agency at one point. It ultimately fell afoul of the police and they shut us down. But I did have a detective agency at one point, and it was great fun
Yes.
to just solve little kind of, crimes of inconvenience, really, mostly for the wealthy. But still, I think that you could be onto something, that I could be a rock star touring, and then the FBI comes to me and says, you're in a unique position to help us. And I go, well, why? I'm a rock star. And they go, because of your platform or whatever, what you're saying.
Exactly.
That it could be hiding a spy in plain sight.
Yep, that's right.
That spy you hid in plain sight.
Now, when you're talking about these crimes of some of the wealthy, it could be something like kitten napping or pet napping. Now, speaking of which, your Carlisle has been missing for quite some time. Maybe you can share a little bit of backstory on Carlisle. And I know I might be opening up a sad wound here, but
Carlisle, where have you gone? Carlisle, will you return? Carlisle, we wait for you. Carlisle, we have for 2.5 years last Tuesday.
Okay.
Everyone says, someone rude said to me, "Get used to it. He's gone for good." A dark implication behind that. Wrong. My pet psychic has located Carlisle several times. Last time she said he's in a HVAC unit or vent in some artist colony in Brooklyn. So he's out and about. He's torturing me. He's having the time of his life. He is there. And people, if you have any sightings, if you have any information at all about Carlisle, please, 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 there is an email address, carlisle.alert@gmail.com. Please send that out to people.
Certainly. I will put that link in down below as well, too, after the show tonight, too. Anything we can do to help.
And he's just toying with me. And that's sort of the worst thing of all. If he was being held against his will in a spy situation, that would be one thing. But it's the fact that he's just going, just not into it right now, lady. I mean, we had a very hectic lifestyle.
Of course.
So, I understand he needs a little break, but, come home, little Carlisle. Because we need to see the Mrs. Smith-Carlisle duet. Am I right?
Oh, for sure. Of course.
He could be prancing across a xylophone or something like that.
That would be phenomenal. And by the way, I shared a couple of your videos today, and one, speaking of some strange sounds, which could be confused as cat sounds or anything of the Miku Petal. Am I saying that right?
The Miku Petal.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
They said you could never make music with it.
I think you're the only person that I saw. One comment was on that video, and I commented below it as well. And it's like hands down the best demo on the planet. There's probably only a handful of them.
I do think I think there's a number of quite superlative comments there. I think there's more than one.
Oh yeah.
It does have the views. Now on Facebook it has more views. There's views about 140,000 views on Facebook.
Wow.
It was more popular there, and I'm growing my YouTube presence. I find YouTube a bit of a puzzle, but yes, the Miku Petal came into my possession. And someone said, "Oh, you could make a funny joke video out of this." And I thought, well, I don't know, but the idea of just making a joke about something. Somebody worked very hard on this pedal, and it's also based on the voice of a very serious artist, Hatsune Miku,
right,
who is taken quite seriously by her fans. And so, as we talk about these conversations of cultural appropriation and what have you, you have to be aware of the things that you're playing with. It's not to say don't cross-pollinate. Do. But be aware. And so sensitively, I entered the Miku Petal. And when I turned it on, instantaneously there were these melodies. Now, I would have it for you to play.
That's okay.
However, the puzzle with the Miku Petal is there's an incredible delay in the note that you play. Sometimes it's right on track, because it's turning the sounds of these microphones. It's not a MIDI. It's not MIDI. So it's taking a guitar sound and turning it into spoken and sung words. So there's sometimes a delay. So I have a TaskRabbit kid who also is like a pro sound engineer. He puts up shelves and then engineers my music. But we recorded the melody into the computer, and then he had to kind of line it up with the rhythm.
Gotcha.
And then under it, we built all of the harmony we painted with sound.
Yeah.
With bars of sound. I said, I want a cello. And he would draw the sound. And then I say, no, that's too happy. Make it confused. And then, add this note. No, now add that note. Change that note. And then there's a whole... And the fact that you don't have to know about how to write music to make music in the computer. What a gift.
Well, the way that you approached it, the only other demos I really watched on it was Anderton's video, and it was quite entertaining as well too. I think it was Rob Chapman was playing it, and you're watching him and the captain, and they're laughing at one another. So that was cool. That was a fun video. But then we see yours taking it to a whole new level in the garden. It was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. But at the same time, great playing, and you got yourself flying with fire rockets from the dress and.
Well, now some of the younger fans have reported, it's a little scary that fire is coming out from her dress.
Yeah.
But it's also entertaining to them, or maybe it's inspiring. The imagery in the video was inspired by a lot of very deep symbol work that I did with my Jungian analyst. Right now I have 2 Jungian analysts, but you play in a sand pit
Yep.
with them, and you arrange objects and toys. And I had created the Miku Petal garden with my analyst, and then my video team created it in a video. So this is
Perfect.
all part of my passion, which is to say, there's an idea for a song, a pedal. Someone had the drummer for my band, Paul. He said, "You got to get the Miku Petal." I got it. A melody, a tapestry of harmonies, a Jungian analysis session that goes completely off the rails, but inspires a green screen, and then you have a video, and that took about 6 months
Wow.
for 2 minutes, about a 2.5 minute song.
There's a lot of work that goes into it. People don't realize that.
They don't realize that, and they don't pay a dime, which is going to change.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's true. It's got to change. Patreon, here I come. No
That's
more,
right.
no more Facebook. I can't do Facebook anymore. You know?
It's
There's
tough.
so many Russian bots and trolls and confused
I
aunts
know.
and uncles.
I imagine you're probably getting hit on quite a bit too.
I do okay on Facebook. I think the meanest, I'm starting to learn to have someone deal with the comments.
Sure.
People can be quite cruel.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they see someone different. I think any woman who picks up a guitar is going to get some hatred, but then they see someone who's a little different and they have to lash out. And I just try to reassure myself, these are people who don't leave their house.
That's true. That's true.
As opposed to, you know, me going to NAMM, being in a Gucci commercial, not to brag, but just to say, you know, I'm busy and I should be a little too busy to even think about these comments.
That's a good way to look at it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's very good. That can tie you down and it can suck you down that rabbit hole.
Say that again?
I said that can bring you down that rabbit hole you just don't want to go down.
No. And you'll never get those voices out of your head.
No, that's right. I'm really proud of you. I'm really proud of you
Thank
for following your dream and with no restraints. That's awesome.
I try to unfold more and more and more. I'm trying to find inspiration from unexpected places. And I think that, you know, that brings us down to our dear Edward. You know, I'm going to put down the flower guitar
Sure.
for a second and get this Franken gem.
Mm-hmm.
This guitar was, I don't want to say it was the sensation of the NAMM show, but it was it was voted, I think, on a poll, one of the top 5 sensations. I don't know, someone told me that. This is a Franken guitar. Did I move the camera? Is it all right?
No, you're good. The camera's good.
Okay. I had a dream. I was at MoMA, recovering from a trustees meeting, and I was walking down a hallway, and I looked at a Pollock, the splashes.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at a Modrian, and I meditated on symmetry, color, shape, proportion, and then I turned, and at the end of a long hallway was a striped pattern. And it was the largest painting in the entire museum. And I stood in front of it, and it was these stripes, red, black, and white, spray painted, huge. And it spoke to me. It had arrived in my life for some reason I didn't know. And I thought, this is like a Modrian street art. It's so bold. It's so cool.
Certainly.
So I told my friend Nick Townsend of Nicholas Guitars. Everybody look up Nicholas Guitars. He's in Connecticut, so he is nearby. Of course, I know Connecticut well, so I felt comfortable reaching out to him. And I said, I had this dream, and I have a friend who's a crime scene sketch artist.
Okay.
Because some crime scenes are so horrible they can't be photographed or they'll traumatize the viewer. So he sketches the blood splatter and stuff. And I said, I explained what this pattern was. And he sketched it. And he sent it to Nicholas. And I'm looking through it now. And Nicholas made the guitar, and he said, I get it. Because this was a white gem guitar.
Okay.
Okay, and I had bought the white gem to make green screen movies because the flower guitar, the green frets disappear on a green screen.
Of course.
So I bought the white gem. It was in the Gucci commercial in the climatic scene in the Galert baths in gorgeous Budapest. So it was a star of a guitar, but also Steve Vai plays a white gem a lot now, and I was like, it's a little bit like that association. It was getting a bit much and all that. So I thought, well, I'm going to recreate this guitar. So Nicholas said, I get it. I totally get it. And I didn't know what he meant by I get it.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I dreamt this pattern. This is mine. And he said, you know that this is a thing, right? And I said, I know. It's a thing that I dreamt. It's my thing. He said, no, it's someone else's thing. And then he said that name.
Mr. Van Halen.
And I thought, how did this, it's synchronicity. It's synchronicity that I dreamt this pattern. And he too had created it. So I brought the guitar to NAMM. First of all, I want to show your viewers Nicholas's incredible work.
Explain that pickguard. You told me about that pickguard, which a lot of people don't understand.
He did all of these details, which I knew nothing about. He did this, right? It's got this is a completely illegal guitar. This is all this stuff is totally illegal. There's the Steve Vai handle. Now the pickguard, because the gem guitar has 3 microphones, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But Edwards did not. So he made a custom pickguard to cover up the middle microphone. And then this is painted. It's not the chunk. It's
You'd never
painted.
know it.
And then this is the funnest part of all. Don't tell Buckethead. The kill switch. So and then these are custom pickups by Lust for Tone. Are there questions about it?
There may be. Let's jump over there and have a look.
Yes, questions?
It sounds good. Let's go find out. We're going to jump over there right now. There's a bunch of people over in the chat. I'll buzz through them. We've got Nightbeat here, so let's get the party started. Quentin James is here. Carlo Santin, my fellow Canadian buddies here. Doesn't know Mrs. Smith, but she seems very interesting, and you're going to know her tonight for sure. Bane Rocks, who's my better half here. My little boy is jumping in. He's a big fan. Dirty Apes is hello from Belgrade, Montana. Jay's Tacos Guitars. Craig Rendels is here. Good evening from Russia. Craig's coming up. And I got to introduce you to this fellow sometime. He's a great shredder. You're going to like him. He can really play.
Oh, fantastic.
Nightbeat is here saying, here it comes.
Nightbeat. Hi, Nightbeat. That's Alan.
Okay, cool.
Hi, Jace. Hi, Jeff S. Hi, Jeff Darling. Jeff's Tacos and Guitars.
All right. Tacos and guitars. Go good. Do you like tacos?
To eat in private. I would
Okay.
say to eat in private.
And probably to watch. Got to watch the figure and everything as well too. So you got to go in moderation.
You have to, but you might. It's that whole thing of you don't want to lose too much weight at a certain age. You start to look gone.
True. Yeah, it's a balance.
So this guitar was made for me. It's completely illegal. I brought it to NAMM, which I understood to be the National Association of Music Makers. And so I went to make music. And Mesobarba Custom Amplification.
Yeah, I see that.
First of all, they're terrific. And they really do. I know that you're associated with the Eddie official thing.
That's okay. We talk a lot of gear. That's okay.
Pierangelo Mesobarba is absolutely impassioned over Edward Van Halen and the Brown sound. And this amp, I think it really gets it. What I've got on this right now, I have an Eventide.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a setting that's 1984.
Oh, that's good.
That little
detune?
Add a little dimension. Yes, I think that's it.
Okay.
And then I have a phaser on it, and I have some delay, some reverb. So we made this guitar, and I brought it to NAMM, where I was performing. And then people said to me, well, this is actually a place where companies announce their products. And, this is a little strange that you're taking this expo by storm with a guitar that's completely not for sale.
That's right.
That it's just part of your private collection is grabbing all of this attention. And, of course, people are wondering, is it for sale? Is Ibanez now selling this wild mashup guitar?
Yeah.
But what I love about this guitar, it's in the tradition of Edward, of Frankenstein.
Sure.
And we've talked a lot about that.
That is very true. And you talked about not only Frankensteining, taking things together, and we're gonna go a little off topic a little bit, but throwing things together in a mix. And you had mentioned to me in a phone call we had talking about Mr. Van Halen about being a kind of a mad scientist. Explain to our viewers what you mean by that, by being a mad scientist when it comes to tinkering and innovation.
Well, first of all, I might get everything wrong, and I think there needs to be more getting things wrong in rock.
Of course, I agree.
I think things have become very studied, and it's become very much about a standard that one should achieve versus an explosion of passion.
An
Jimi
eruption.
Hendrix is the ultimate expression of the explosion of passion, of spirit, just a rushing spirit. And I think Edward Van Halen was such a genius. Of course, he originated so many fabulous, wonderful, fun techniques with the whammy bar and the two-handed tapping. But this guitar, I think, is an interesting metaphor. It takes to say, I'm not getting what I need. So I'm going to take a piece of this and a piece of that and put it together. And to be truly adventurous and to not follow the rules. Now, what's interesting is that then that adventure setting becomes a new standard.
Agreed.
And it becomes a brand, and so then everything is stripes are put on everything, shorts and mugs. And listen, God willing, I get there someday. But there's Mrs. Smith mugs.
Yep,
all
T-shirts,
that.
cereal.
Mrs. Smith cereal. It's no shade to Mr. Edward Van Halen. You've got to cash in because I don't think people realize the sacrifices musicians make, even ones that become very famous and rich at a young age. The sacrifices that musicians make. So go for it, kiddo. But get back to the true thing of the thing. Okay, so the thing of the thing is not necessarily to sound like Edward Van Halen or to necessarily even buy one of his guitars. Take the spirit of it.
Certainly.
And do it to what is happening now. Combine genres in an unexpected way. Combine. I think gear is really hard right now. I think there's just a lot of it.
There it is. It's flooded the market.
And it's not clear why a lot of these things exist, and or what people think that it's going to do for them. I try to keep it very minimal. I especially because I think maybe in the studio it's different because you can do a lot. It's so close.
Yeah, and the sky's the limit there too. There's anything you can imagine you can do, but in the real world, actually, let's keep it simple. Let's go backwards a little bit. Let's talk about, instead of having the perfect world, let's talk about the real world for you on the street. Out there, busting it out there, playing every day on the street with nothing more than a little Vox. Explain your live rig on the street and how people are just baffled by the sound that comes out of that thing.
The sidewalk shred guitar thing was I don't even know how I came about to have this little Vox amplifier. It's no longer for sale, so
right.
I can't help them. But the Miku Petal is discontinued. The Vox is not for sale. I can't help anybody. My most popular videos. Well, I've got to make videos with these guys, and I have some pending arrangements that I'm not at liberty to talk about them.
Of course,
I'm not at liberty because the paperwork is still being negotiated with attorneys. But I do have some pending relationships that I'm very excited about.
Nice. We'll look forward to hearing from them.
But the sidewalk guitar, I didn't know it sounded any good. I didn't know. I stepped out on the sidewalk with a battery-operated amplifier in a moment of absolute, abject social alienation. I had nothing else to lose. And the tracks were coming through the amp. And there was a distortion sound. And I added some delay. And sometimes it wouldn't be right. The batteries would be low or something. And I played a lot. I played in Provincetown, which is a resort town. And then, but the biggest kapow probably was in New York City because there's so many influencers there. And I don't know. People couldn't believe that all that sound. They thought it was overdubbed. Or they thought I was pretending to play.
Yeah, air guitar.
That it was finger syncing. And I guess it comes down to that tone is in the fingers, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
That I never thought really even that I was any good, but I was encouraged by what people said. I had the occasion to meet a prominent guitar player who said some nice things about me to my face, and I thought, well, I guess this is like the thing. So I kept following it, and also it was so much fun.
That's
And
the
it
thing.
broke the isolation because look at me now. I'm not
Exactly.
alone.
That's
I'm
right.
talking to you.
That's right. Your guitar is always going to be, you know, your husband's gone now. Carlisle is gone. I'm sorry to say it, but your guitar is always there.
Guitar is always there for you. And even when other people are there for you, they need a break from you.
Yeah.
Maybe you're too much.
Yeah.
I'm talking to myself, not to you. Or to anyone. Maybe to some of you're Canadian. I don't think you're ever too much. But I can't imagine. But maybe some of your listeners are like me. They're a little extra.
Yeah. Oh, I think there'd be some few people that'll disagree that I'm too much for some people, but that's okay. That's a story for another day. That's okay. It's all good. I appreciate the kind sentiment for sure. But I like the fact that you're out there doing it and people are you're just enthralled with your talent. And I think that one of the next things I want to talk to you about was how you seem to be super, super popular with the moms. And I kind of get it. And I'm going to ask you why you are so popular with the moms out there. And I'm just going to give my feeling from it. It feels like I see a lot of these moms watching you like, oh, just wish I had that outlet. I wish I could be that star. I wish I could, you know, I don't have, my husband does this and I don't get to do anything or whatever. Why do you think you're so successful with the moms or so drawn to them?
There's something with me and the moms. And I think we need to do maybe a single, Mrs. Smith and the Mom.
Hey, I like that.
I've had an idea for a holiday show called Mrs. Smith's Grief and Rage Encounter Group for Women. Holiday Encounter Group for Women. And it's just bataka bats. And it's just an empty room with pillows and bataka bats and chairs. And you can set up a chair and you can say, you know, that's your father. And she can stand there with a bataka bat and say, you were never there. So I think women are often in a position of having to care for other people, think about what other people need all the time. The moms, I also think moms are different from how they used to be. Moms ain't what they used to be.
True.
Moms also were rocking out probably in the parking lot when it was 1984.
Yeah.
They were probably loving Edward Van Halen's Panama and going with their wild boyfriends in fast cars and living it up. And now, okay, life changes. You've got to be responsible. But sometimes you want to cut loose.
Of course.
So I think Mrs. Smith is maybe a symbol to them. I also think they appreciate that I do try to carry a message. I'm not just an out-of-control person. I try to spread a message of it's all right if you're not okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not feeling okay, the worst thing you could ever do to yourself is to blame yourself for not feeling okay. You could always email me or message me and say, I'm not okay. And I would never fault you for that. Can you still see me? I got a phone call.
No, it froze just for a brief second.
Okay.
We're paused for a second.
And I would never blame anybody or think that they should be something other than what they are. So I don't know. My drummer, Paul, his mom is a big fan, and she said to him one day, I think Mrs. Smith is a good influence on you.
There you go. I think you're a good influence on a lot of people.
Am I still frozen?
Yeah, maybe try toggling your camera off. Don't hang up, but just toggle your camera off and toggle it back on. That should do it. Try that for a second.
I don't know how to do it. Oh wait, I went to a gallery. I don't want to do that. Oh,
That's
God.
okay. Technicalities happen. We can work through it.
Out of this.
No problem.
Is it back?
Let me see
What
here.
happened?
Let me see here.
Oh, I'm gonna toggle it.
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing that I even know what I'm doing?
Oh, you're doing good. You've been
And then I'm gonna
practicing.
Toggle. Is it on?
And we got you. We are back live. We're great. No, it's no problem.
Gosh. I don't want to be that big though.
No, it's okay. No, what I have on my end is perfect.
Okay. So that's I think the momism.
Okay. And I can see that. You know, the moms, you know, like it is a different world. It's a different world today. And they kind of live through you. And I think maybe you're giving them some inspiration as well, too, that they can be what they want to be. You know, still maintain the everything they have to do, whether they're working to supplement income with their husbands or they're maybe coaching some sports and all these extracurricular activities that they do. I mean, there's so many things people do these days and still manage to run a household as a partnership. But they get to live through you, and I think that's really awesome. And it is a positive thing, and I can see you also being that person that you don't have to be perfect. Just aim for something you want to do, and perfection will come. And perfection will never come. You're never going to be perfect at anything, but just be the best that you can be.
And just let it out. People are so shut down these days, and I don't know why. Sometimes I feel as if I'm living in a robot world.
Yeah.
People do seem different now to me. They seem like I don't know what there's a quality of people. I don't want to judge people, but if I may,
sure.
There's a quality that I notice of a kind of oh, I get that. I know what that thing is. Oh, I get that reference. You see this online. I think more with the younger people, perhaps. Oh, yeah, I totally know that. A feeling of sort of mastering something before you've even really encountered it.
Of course.
And that's not the creative spirit. That's not what Edward would have said to you. He would have said, I don't know. I'm going to dive in and find out. I'm going to explore. I'm going to explore. I was watching him on the Smithsonian, and what I was struck by was obviously there's incredible talent there. There's innate talent, and you got it or you don't. But also the time to take a guitar apart, to play with the pickups. He talked about dipping it in wax. The time to practice, to explore all of the different, to play guitar doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to play something. I'm going to execute something. Play also means the play.
To use, learn, experiment.
To experiment, to play with it, to explore without an idea of result. And I think that is so important. And are people making time? Not to sit down and say, I've got to learn this song exactly that way, but just to sit down and say, I want to come up with something. I've been playing with this idea. But I messed it up. But it came from hours, really, of I meditated on. Which is a special scale that I invented.
Okay.
I didn't invent it, but I am popularizing it.
Okay, there you go.
Like Edward didn't invent tapping, but he popularized it.
That's right, exactly.
A musicologist said that this is an ancient scale that I have rediscovered, and so I'm going to trademark it while we're getting this good. And where that came from is I have a part of my song, Cat Jam.
Okay.
I haven't released this song yet. I play it live quite a bit. And it has a section that goes... And then Carlisle meows. And over that I was soloing... kind of Inde Malmsteen stuff.
Okay. You know about him too, do you?
I was thinking of Egypt, right, with cats.
Yep.
But I didn't like... Just see, and I played this song in front of audiences for a year. I did it at Guitar Gods. I did it at Williamsburg Music Hall. And this middle section, I was thinking, I haven't cracked the code with that. And then instead of that Eastern scale, I one day played...
A little happier.
Is a Mixolydian scale
Yep.
with that little extra exoticness.
Yeah, it does.
So, you see, that's about the play. That's all.
I love it. And you mentioned the fact that Yngwie Malmsteen, another name that I wouldn't expect you to know. So obviously that's been some roots. Let's jump into this other character that I know you're just discovering him now, and you don't know a lot about him, but you're kind of being thrown into the mix and learning a lot about the Steve Vai character. And there's a lot of people on the internet, and obviously we talk a lot about Steve Vai on the internet on here on the show. Like obviously Eddie Van Halen is first and foremost on the show. It's the show's kind of based around him, but we talk about the Joe Satrianis and all these cool cats out there. But Steve Vai's name comes up a lot. You've discovered him recently, probably studying him, and a lot of people are actually thinking, because your guitar playing is so good, that you might actually be him kind of in disguise. And tell us a little bit about how you've discovered this, as you call him, the Steve Vai character, and where you've gone because of that.
People can be so cruel. I'm in tears for so many reasons because of this topic. I'm in tears of gratitude for this person who invented a flower guitar. I'm in tears of gratitude over having met this man, this kind man, backstage at the Guitar Gods Festival. And he said the most kind words to me. He encouraged me. He said, you can really play. He said he sent my video to Joe Satriani, and that Joe Satriani liked it. And the whole time, I thought he was a roadie. I did not treat him with disrespect. I love roadies. But I truly believe that he was just some dude. And I thought, well, this is kind of sad that the roadie is sort of trying to impress me by telling me he knows Joe Satriani. He's got his email address. I sent him the video, and I'm like, oh, I was like, that's like that is so sweet. Like, thank you. But then I also sort of said, like, how did you get the video? How did you know about it? Because the video was really only being seen by very kind of exclusive people.
Right.
And so I was just, I was a little like kind of worried about that. Like, who are you? And then he was called away. And then somebody said, he's like a big deal guy. And he had also organized the festival.
Okay.
And with Yngwie Malmsteen, who is amazing.
Of course.
And so it was so confusing. And as for this disguising, anyone who's ever met me, they know that I'm barely 5'6", and he is an absolute giant human being. Also, look at these little hands. Look at how little these hands are.
I was gonna say they look a little bit bigger than little.
Well, they're not the movie Alien hands, which is what he has.
Yeah, true. That's true.
Him and Buckethead and the rest of them.
Yeah.
And I need a hand transplant so I can really play this thing.
Yeah.
So I cannot talk about this issue of being in disguise. I find it fascinating. I think to myself, maybe I could be in disguise.
There you go.
I could put on a mustache and a tuxedo, and I could say, oh, I know what I could do. I could enter the world of opera.
There you go.
And I could become a famous tenor. I could kind of use the fact that I have a higher voice to gain power in the world of tenors. And then all the tenors, they'd be jealous. And they say, well, why is he rising to such prominence so quickly? It's not fair. Why this meteoric rise? It's some sort of gimmick. I could perhaps one day become somebody else. And I find this idea intriguing. And Buckethead does this. I believe Buckethead is Buckethead. I believe Buckethead is real because we believe he's real. And I also believe that behind Buckethead, there may be another person who, when Buckethead is there, the other person disappears.
Okay.
It's some kind of alchemical process. But it is not anything that I would ever consider, aside from when I was in a little play as a little girl. And I can't even remember the role I played. I never liked the idea of being somebody else. I will address these issues of a disguise is for an exclusive interview that I'm granting to a publication. So I cannot go any more into it.
Of course. So recently, I have a picture here. You sent me a picture, which is really cool. I'm going to cue it up in a second. Now, you won't see it, but our fans watching will see it. You got to meet this fellow, this Mr. Steve Vai, And it
Oh,
must
yeah.
it must have been quite the experience, like you said. Obviously, he towered over you. I'm going to load the picture up here right now, and tell us a little bit about winning these contests. And
I don't know Photoshop. I don't know. I don't have it. It's not Photoshop. It's not. People, I've posted this picture a million times.
That's real deal. That's real deal. I know that's real. And I love the look on Steve's face. What a grin.
Well, he does seem pleased somehow. I did do a review of his fantastic pedal with uh, Carvin,
Mm-hmm.
and they had some troubles. I think they closed a little bit. A part of their operation closed, but they're back and they're selling that pedal.
That's
And
great.
and our review with me and Randy Wilcox, the guitar player in my band, who just signed with Chapman Guitars.
Mm-hmm.
Randy Wilcox and I did a review, and it was great fun. And we had great fun with all of this stuff. And the review did quite well. So there is some communication, but I'm not in formal contact with this person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the man. I don't know the man.
But I'm curious, was he, for someone like yourself, like a distinguished lady in his presence, was he a gentleman to you?
He was an absolute gentleman. He swooped up to me. It was a little bit it was just such a swoop because of this absolute towering size.
Yeah.
He moved with grace. He was a gentleman. He spoke kindly. He was complimentary. Um, uh, and it really inspired me to go further with it. And maybe now he's regretting that people think that he's up to some kind of hijinks.
Yeah, I think people are starting to think that. They might. Like, what are you doing, Steve?
I don't think he needs to do that.
Nope.
He's doing okay.
Yeah, he does pretty good on his own. Yeah, he does.
I think he's doing okay. Yeah, he has Grammy Awards. He's all right. He's made it in the music business. It's pretty much the hardest thing you could ever do, and he's doing all right. So, but bless his heart, he's a sweet man and brilliant.
Yes. I like to look at him as the David
Again,
Copperfield.
another worker, a hard worker.
Yeah.
All of the patience it takes to work out some of those strange things that he plays.
Mm-hmm.
He finds a way. It's that Zappa stuff. It's really hard once you learn the boxes to break out of the boxes. It's very hard. And it takes great effort, especially at a certain age,
Of course.
to play anything different because your fingers start to move with automaticity.
Right.
And you can tell every time he comes out with something. He does a thing that I think is the only new thing I've heard on guitar in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
There are a couple things that were kind of introduced. You have unison bends, right?
Right.
Bending notes. You had the tapping. You had the whammy bar. You have sweep picking. And I'm going to turn off this tuner. So that was all probably by the 80s or so, I think. And then he comes out with this song called Gravity Storm.
Mm-hmm.
And he plays the riff. I can't play it. And then he pre-bends a note up and then restores it.
Okay.
And when you listen to it, you think perhaps the whammy bar is being depressed. But depressing a whammy bar and keeping it in tune in that way, it's so precise. It's very hard.
Okay.
And so he's playing a riff and then he's pre-bending notes a little bit before he's meant to play them and then bending them down in time.
Wow.
And I believe if people were to listen to that song, I believe that is, I've never heard anyone else do it. In all of my searching on YouTube, I never heard anyone else do it. And it was totally new, and it's extremely difficult to do. It requires a great deal of practice. So he's not someone to rest on his laurels.
Certainly. Well, you mentioned obviously some of the tricks that he's picked up from the Frank Zappa time. I'm really surprised, and I'm excited to hear you mention Frank Zappa. So you've had to discover a huge catalog of music in a very short time. What was it about the Frank Zappa that excited you?
Well, not a lot.
Okay.
I have to be totally honest. It
Yep.
really is not a lot that excites me about it. There's a lot of it. I think it's very difficult when somebody makes that much to kind of even know where to begin.
Too much
to
going
get
on?
into it. There's just a lot of material. There's
Sure.
many albums. Some of it plays with genre in a way that I rather like.
Okay.
And I wish I could do. But I need help with the computer.
Yeah.
And no one will help me. No one will help me with anything. I don't have a manager. I don't have a booking agent. I have no one to help me. I have Mezzabarba, darling Pierangelo Mezzabarba, and Gianpaolo Mezzabarba helping me.
That will change, though. I have a feeling someone's going to help you on the computer soon.
So I love the playing with genre. There's a song about jogging, I think, that changes genre. And it's very funny. It sounds like an advertisement at one point. And of course, the rubber hits the road with that way of doing things with Mr. Bungle.
Okay.
Mr. Bungle. Again, what is this world I've entered? Slash, Buckethead, Bumblefoot, Mr. Bungle, Mrs. Smith. What's happening to my life? But I had to learn these things. And you just enter something, and then YouTube tells you something else. And before you know it, you're listening to some of the most interesting music
from around the world.
I hit on from Frank Zappa, from Steve Vai. I was like, who's the Steve Vai guy? I hit on Frank Zappa to Mr. Bungle. Talk about a wackadoo world. And their singer is so talented. So I love them. And then I have a secret.
Okay.
My secret favorite band.
I think I might know it. I'm not going to say it. Does it start with a P?
No.
It does. Okay, so it's not that one. All right.
This is for a very special reason. Now, this is very difficult music to listen to. You can't put it on at a tea party.
Okay.
It really is. Some of this music that we're talking about, Frank Zappa, even Steve Vai, I would even include in this Tori Amos.
Yep.
Some of this music is more, or Kate Bush. Some of this music is more like an art object.
Okay.
You would not necessarily sit in front of a Pollock or a Kunz in order to relax.
Right.
You would sit in front of that painting in order to have an encounter with a creative force.
Of course.
Right? The artist.
Mm-hmm.
Some of this music is like that. Now, some of it, some of those real classic Van Halen tunes, you put it on, you hop in your Jeep, you go to the beach, you have a blast.
Yes, exactly.
It's a soundtrack to fun, or maybe it's a soundtrack to love.
Mm-hmm.
But some of this music is so bizarre, it's so difficult, and that's what makes it fun, but you focus on it. I think, after Mr. Bungle, the kids who are rocking my world, and I dropped their name to somebody who knows them recently.
Okay.
A certain company that will go nameless, and I dropped their name to them, hoping that they would connect me with them.
Right.
They're out of Canada. Protest the Hero.
Oh, very familiar with them. I played with them one time, actually. Yes, very familiar. Fantastic.
They have a song. They don't know this, but I heard the song by accident.
Okay.
And I don't know the name of the song, but the singer, who I think is a very intelligent young man, I think he knows a lot about a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He sings, "Our goddess gave birth to your God." Our goddess gave birth to your God. And I heard it, and I saw myself in that closet in Norway, and I remembered interfacing with the Norwegian figure of fairy tale named Freya, who is a goddess figure, and I remembered the whole experience of fighting against my father, this Norwegian death metal band, my husband's, becoming this guitar person. And it inspired my one-person show called While My Guitar Gently Shrieks. And they don't know. And I tried to tell them in comments, I tried to say, boys, please listen, thank you. And I have tickets to their show, and I just wish somebody would get us together.
That would be awesome. That'd be awesome. I'm so glad to hear that name. I haven't heard that name in a while. That's wicked.
They're touring with an album. The album where they sing that word, I'm going to see them in New York City. And when he sings that lyric, I might explode. And also, their guitar player. Now, there's the sweeping. Let's see if I can do it. I'm not really warmed up, but a lot of people do it very fast like that.
Yeah.
He does, and I believe that this is actually harder to do. He does more of a It's
Very
not.
smooth.
There's a way of where the velocity of the pick is sort of driving,
Mm-hmm.
and he's holding himself back, and it has such a feeling of something evolving.
Okay.
And it's not that speed freak version of it,
Yeah.
and I believe it's harder to do.
I think you're right on that.
And he looks just like some kid with a baseball hat. You see pictures of him, he's got a beard. He looks like just like a nice fellow, just like I don't know, the plumber's nephew or something. Speaking of nephews, we have to talk about the P band.
Yes. Well, see, that's what I thought you were going with. Let's share your thoughts on that. This is a band that I'm very thankful to you for sending them my way to discover them. Let's talk about them. You go ahead and set it up.
Well, this is along the lines of Frankenstein.
Okay. Frankensteining your life.
Frankensteining your life, Frankensteining your genre.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, if you want to get your EVH gear and play your Eddie riffs and relive the glory days, or you're a young kid. I was at NAMM, and there was a young kid. He had to be 16. He couldn't have been older than 16. His mother was with him, so maybe even younger. He had a strap. All he was playing was Eddie Van Halen licks.
Nice.
And I had this guitar, and I said, kiddo, have at it. Boy, he was in heaven. His mother was taking videos, and she said, oh, he's going to love this. So kids of all ages are discovering how great Eddie Van Halen is. The groove in those riffs, the spirit, the gyrations of it, the fun, the cheekiness of it, the outrageousness of David Lee Roth. I was just thinking before, and I wanted to say this. Hold the band we want to talk about in your corner up here.
Yeah.
We were talking about David Lee Roth, and I was listening to his lyrics on the way here, and I thought he's summoning a bygone era because he's inspired by the blues men, by a lot of his nomenclature and his vocabulary is from like a honky-tonk reality.
Sure.
It's from an earlier age, and so I would argue that is why that music ages so well.
Agreed.
Because it has a universality, whereas some of the kind of the people who were inspired by Eddie Van Halen, who kind of did their best, and the singer is teased out hair and is screaming, and I mean I get it, it's fun and it's kind of a weird kind of misogynist camp. I don't really get it, but
it has a shelf life.
It's so kind of the cultural politics of it are so Reaganite.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of just, it's like, I mean, what we talked about the other day, listen to Beautiful Girls by Van Halen.
Mm-hmm.
All right, yes, it is objectifying women, and people shouldn't do that too much, but also, ladies like to feel beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
You listen to Beautiful Girls, it sounds like fun. It's not scary. It's about an appreciation.
Yeah.
And you listen to something like Girls, Girls, Girls by Motley Crue, which came on my YouTube by accident. And I thought my eyes almost burned out of my skull. It's like, no shade to them, but it's just kind of like, fellas, this look is not cute. It's just not cute. And it just hasn't aged well. And it's like, also, where's the kind of reparations for that? Like, what, did you ever apologize for how bad? Like, again, I don't want to be critical of people, but there's a big difference in feeling between those two songs.
Huge.
Topic.
Well, the way you said to me, I really like this, and I think fans will like this. Is what you told me. You told me the same conversation, comparing Girls, Girls, Girls to Beautiful Girls, both talking about women, but so David Lee Roth is supposedly objectifying women. He's always got the big boob girls and scantily clad clothes, but yet at the same time, he's also objectifying himself, and he's making just as much fun about himself as he is. About the attractive women.
Oh, the outfits that he wore were absolutely outrageous.
Yeah.
I mean, and yes, there was also, I mean, there's shots of him with the mic stand, and he's being outrageous with it. But there's also a playfulness to it. It's not driven by a kind of overpowering testosterone that's a little bit like, okay, where's this heading? Is it going to spill into a scary place? Like, are we headed for a scary place?
Is it going to be a police phone
call? We're
call?
having fun.
Yeah.
We're going to a party. He's crazy. He's fun. He's outrageous. He's not a danger to anybody. And But I really think that the way he draws on that, you just know how we all know how he talks in interviews, and he'll bust out these strange poems out of nowhere, and
Yeah,
it's so fantastical and so much. I don't think he got the credit he deserved as a lyricist.
I agree.
Um,
And the only real danger with David Lee Roth, the only danger is danger to himself. He is not going to hurt anybody. He has the swagger and has this persona, but he's only a danger to himself, and he's not even a danger to himself. So I mean, he's as safe as you could possibly be. Now he'll talk the talk, but he, the thing is, we're very grateful for that because I think this channel has supporters of Sammy Hagar era, the Gary Sharon era, the David Lee Roth era, and I respect all of those eras and love them all to death. David Lee Roth is my favorite, but I think we're very grateful for the David Lee Roth. And even if you don't like David Lee Roth, we got to be thankful for Van Halen fan, as a Van Halen fan, because a lot of that swagger, that swing, it's not all because of David Lee Roth, but a lot came from him.
Yes, I mean, so many of the songs are boogie woogie songs.
Yes.
So Hot for Teacher is a boogie woogie song. Top Jimmy, which actually, well, my favorite song, it's kind of a wild topic, but my favorite song is Drop Dead Lead.
There you go.
Because of the da 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 da. I love that. There's a churning quality. I mean, Edward often when he played, he had a big kind of goofy grin on his face. He's having the time of his life.
Of course.
That's infectious. He's somebody who plays with joy. I'd love to turn your viewers onto something called the Alexander Technique,
Okay.
which they teach in drama schools and music schools. And in the Alexander Technique, it's about being relaxed but engaged. And also, so they teach it to the musicians so that they can execute parts without tension.
Okay.
So a violinist, the Alexander Technique instructor would tell you maybe quiet your shoulder. You're tensing and clenching.
Yeah.
You don't need that. Oh, now you find you can do it with relaxation. Guitarists could learn a lot from it. But the other thing that they teach you, because I have taken some of the courses at a learning annex, is something called the whispered ah.
Okay.
And what you do is you just go, you bring a happy thought into your mind. Maybe it's just a niece or a nephew that makes you laugh, just the sight of them. Maybe
Sure.
it's a puppy or a kitty that you adore or a funny cartoon. You call the image into your mind, and then you go, and I'm doing it. I'm doing it right now. And then you do it too. You call the image into your mind. Just something that makes you smile.
All right.
That makes you happy. And you see it, and then you just go,
That'd be my beautiful better half here. It does it to me every time.
and you just go, ah. And then, oh, you sing from that place.
Okay.
Or you begin to play. But you start from a place of up.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see Edward playing, it is relaxed,
Yes.
engaged, upward flowing, a smile, a sense of, do you see what I just did? I can't believe I just did that. Wasn't that fun? A sense of discovery,
Yeah.
a sense of joy. He's playing with joy. And we know that they were not always joyful times in his life.
Oh, of course.
We know because we're fans, we follow the
We
drama.
follow. Yep.
And we love through the difficult times because we love the artist. And we know we see now and we hope now that he's happy
Mm-hmm.
and he has found some contentment and in his life and it feels recognized. But it didn't matter when you saw him on stage. That wasn't an act.
Everything
He
was
wasn't
checked at the door.
covering over.
That's right.
It was Jimmy.
That's right. Agreed. Thick or thin, he was always smiling, and it was so infectious because it would hit us as fans in the audience. We'd smile back. It's almost like this intravenous, fluid between back and forth, and we're all connected, and we're excited. He gets it back. It's just amazing. It is for sure.
It's interesting because there is tension in rock and roll, which is why I think people have a hard time being good at rock and roll at an older age.
Sure.
Because as you age, and I think also especially as you get success, a young person struggling to prove themselves, to make their mark, they want to go for it and show everybody that they're the best. Well, then you get recognition, you get money, and you start to calm down, and it becomes very difficult to maintain that because rock, especially, it's why I think people end up being fusion players. Which I just have to be honest. I hope it never happens to me. It may, but I just hope it never happens to me. But it's rock, there's an innate tension. But when you see Edward play, you always just feel like it just looks so easy. And then you try to learn it,
It's like,
and
what
you think
the
it's
heck?
not easy at all.
Yeah.
Even simple, and I'm not talking about the soloing, because I
No,
haven't even
rhythm.
gone there.
Rhythm.
Just the riffs.
Yep.
Just the riffs. So that is my little bit about Edward. So we were talking about Frankensteining genre.
Yeah.
And I would encourage people, as I try to do, Yngwie Malmsteen, Frankenstein the genre.
Hmm. He certainly did.
There's a mashup. Absolutely fantastic. It may not be your
Cup of
can
tea.
of worms.
Yep.
You know, I'm not going to say that I sit and listen to Yngwie Malmsteen all day long.
You
But
can
I'll
take
put
so
on
much.
a song and go, wow.
Exactly.
You know, oh, the artistry, the technicality, the work that goes into being able to. And you watch him play.
Yeah.
His pick.
Like butter.
Really moves. Like a hummingbird.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good analogy.
Barely moving. And so he mashed it up. These kids, I've been talking about them as much as possible. I believe it's pronounced Polyphia. Polyphia.
Hmm.
Polyphia or Polyphia. Mike at Ibanez, who does some arts relations and stuff like that. I had gone to the Ibanez custom shop to drop off the flower guitar.
Hmm.
And I had sent them the Gucci ad, and they were very sweet about that. And they did a refret on this. It's an old guitar.
Hmm.
So I was very grateful to them. They were very gracious because the artisans there are they're world class.
Oh, top notch.
Luthiers.
That's right.
And when I visited, they were working on Paul Gilbert's custom neck or something.
Hmm.
So I felt so honored that they would take the time. So I was saying to Mike, who's new? What are the kids listening to? Turn me on to some tunes.
Sure. Some new stuff.
And he said Polyphia and Chon.
Okay.
Chon.
John's not here.
Chon. So I went back. I listened to Polyphia. They have a song called Lit.
Yes, that's one you
Let me
sent me
tell
the
you
link
something.
to.
What did you think of it?
It was amazing, and they're young. They're young.
I know.
It's
They
scary.
look like they should be busting it with Miley or something. I think that. They really are young.
I know. They're like about 4 or 5 years older than my boy.
Well, it's very hard to tell because also I Googled them and they've been around since 2010. How can that be?
Yeah, that's true.
They
Yeah, because they'd
started
only
the
be
band
like
when they were ovums.
5 years old. While judging by
They
how
came
good
out of
they
the
are,
womb.
sometimes that happens. But yeah, obviously Ibanez players and kind of some shred. There's a little bit of shred there, but very well executed.
So I don't know the full tale. I've downloaded a couple of their albums and listened to them, and there's a variety of sounds, and I've followed some of the comments, and so you learn a lot about perception of people,
How they react to it.
and when I heard that song Lit, I thought if all these kids did was this song, they should be put in some Guitar Hall of Fame. I feel the same way about Steve Vai's song Blue Powder.
Oh,
I
crazy.
feel like if he had just retired
Right there.
after doing that song,
Yeah.
done. And just great. Done. Thank you. You can retire forever, lifetime millions of income.
Yeah.
As a thanks for this piece of again, a genre bending work. What is that song? Is it jazz? Is it rock? Is it neoclassical? What is it? It's its own universe.
Didn't you tell me that was an audition? Was that was written as an audition?
Carving.
For Carvin. Okay.
It was a demo, I believe, of the amplifier for a flexi disc.
Yep, and that was in the Guitar Player magazine. It came with it.
And that just goes to speak, you never know where a song will come from.
I know.
Because like the Miku Petal, or if someone says, hey, we need a demo for an amp, you could write an incredible piece of music. Sometimes it isn't, oh, I'm walking down the street and I hear a melody. I must get it out of me.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's that someone says, hey, you got to write a song.
Yeah, you may not even like it.
You might have, or I book a gig. To me,
Yep.
I book a gig and I say, I've got to write a song. I was booked into a show with the Guitar Collective, which is Angel Vivaldi, Andy James, and Scale the Summit. These are like real shredders, really, and I was really intimidated. And I have my song Cat Jam, and then I have some tribute songs that I do, some cover songs, after Polyphia, we have to talk about cover bands.
Okay.
But I talked with I had this gig to do the guitar collective, and I thought I need something heavy, I need something wild, and I thought I heard these chords. And then I had over on top of it this tapping. I thought I love that.
That
and
sounds
so
great.
I started to evolve the song, and it ended up being about the PBS painter Bob Ross.
Oh, I love him.
And there's all these samples of Bob Ross.
Okay.
And then when my band plays it, we have a video, and the drummer gets a click.
Okay.
And then the video synced with the band. And so Bob Ross is painting, and I'm shredding with his painting.
No way.
And it's all about, God knows if I can ever publish this song because of the licensing.
Right.
Of course, I've made a dilemma for myself. But what I love about it is, again, you never know. Here was an obligation.
Yeah.
So what I say to people sometimes, just book the gig and then come up with stuff.
Exactly. It's better to do that than have stuff and not have a gig.
So I discovered Polyphia because of Mike at Ibanez.
Okay.
And I went and listened to the song Lit, and it was like sonic caffeine to me. It sent me OTT. I mean, when I listen to this song in public, I'm like jerking around like people think I'm having a seizure or something. No, not to be funny. It's not funny.
No, I know what you mean.
But
no.
they really do stare at me because they're like, "What's wrong with that woman?"
Is she okay? We
But-
get her some water. Yeah.
Because it has that. They're combining electronic music
Yeah.
and guitars,
Yes.
and it's got that down, down, down,
Yeah.
down, down, down. And I just think they're so fresh and original, and I'm just so, I love that. To me, and again, I don't know everything, and I'm still learning, but it is one of the more original things I've heard on the guitar. I mean, the guitar is very legacy burdened. You know, there's
And we
so
need it.
much.
We need it.
What's that?
We do need it. We need some new things on guitar.
And they're doing it. They are doing it. So I'm a big fan. Everyone should check them out. Frankensteining the genre, or like with my live show. So
Mhm.
for instance, there's this whole question of what is Mrs. Smith? What is this? What am I seeing? What is this artist?
Hmm.
I was sitting down with a very prominent company. Again, I can't.
Of course. Yep.
still
Yep.
working out
The ink is still
contract, but
drying.
Still sat down with a very prominent manufacturer, and I said, I know I don't have an album. I'm not touring. I have an incredible band,
Hmm.
and we have a standing gig at the Cutting Room in New York City. And my show, what is it? It's storytelling, it's guitar playing, but also I play the acoustic and sing. It's Jimi Hendrix, it's Metallica, it's funny videos, it's a Taylor Swift song, it's interactive, it's the Cat Advice column segment.
It's everything.
It's me.
That's right.
And so what I loved is they said, we just think it's cool, we want to be a part of it. Now I do believe I will release some original music. It takes me so long to write these songs
Of course.
because of all of my other obligations.
Yeah. Yeah. You're. I know how busy you are. We talk a little bit, and you're busy from sun up to sundown.
So I wanted to talk. How much time do we have?
We got about. We're doing
about.
about 15 minutes. We'll jump over the chat again in a second. Make sure I haven't missed anybody. But yeah, like I know your schedule is absolutely nuts, and you seem to handle it very, very well.
I try not to get lost in Facebook anymore.
Yeah.
Or Instagram, and managing all of the accounts, and I have help.
Mhm.
The problem is my social media community manager is on Singapore time, and
Oh.
so it's like when a red alert happens, he's dead asleep.
Sure.
But I wanted to talk about cover bands
Okay.
and tribute bands, because also we are talking about Van Halen and fans of Van Halen, and maybe there are some people out there who are tribute artists.
Oh, it
cover
happens on here a
artists.
lot. It does.
And I did a post of a quote, and it was probably one of the most popular things I've ever posted.
Okay.
And it said, what's wrong with being in a cover band? The London Philharmonic is a cover band.
Nice.
And I'm quite serious and passionate about this point because I think, and I don't think I'm saying anything that people in covered bands and tribute bands don't know already. I don't think they get the respect that they deserve.
Okay.
And I think people believe that it's innately better to write original material and that if you're not doing that, but I believe that keeping the legacy of this music alive is our cultural heritage. And the fact of the matter is, it's not the same sitting by yourself with your stereo at home alone.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how people want to hear this music. They want to be with their buddies, with their pals, rocking out, singing loud. You can sing out loud to the lyrics and join in with your friends and dance and have a night out. Now, complicating that issue is the fact that many of these groups cannot execute this music.
Of course.
They cannot. I mean, Edward can,
Mm-hmm.
but of course he's playing guitar. But the vocalists cannot meet their obligation.
That's right.
And so, and there's no shade there. There's no judgment there. That is the nature of getting older,
Mm-hmm.
that the pitches fall. But you can only down tune a guitar so much.
Yeah. Yeah, to accommodate
You
the
can't
singer's
be
range.
out there tuned down to A flat and
to
singing
accommodate
it.
the singer.
So they cannot meet their obligation to the music. I think it's easier for some
Cover
artists
band.
to age.
Yeah.
The Rolling Stones. It's not. It's kind of like lackadaisical music. I'm not saying it's easy to play, but it's not. This kind of music has so much tension and exertion in
Mhm.
it. It's rock. So these cover bands, some of them might be better than
The originals.
as they are now.
Yeah. Yeah, in the current
And
state.
so you're paying $500 to see the original in a huge stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's nice. You're supporting your favorite act. But let's be honest, there's going to be a lot of moments in that show where you go,
Yeah, was it worth $500?
I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like pushing a lot towards the stage to kind of convince myself that this is great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it is great to be able to see them, but look, I mean, I've gone to see groups that I didn't see them in the glory days, but for people who saw them in the glory days, like, oh, this is just a reminder that I'm old now. And so, but the cover band, the tribute band, there they are. They're in a smaller club. It's
Yeah.
affordable.
Intimate. $5 at the door. You know, a lot of families, you know, they can't afford. They have to pay babysitters. They got, you know, all that extra expenses is not that easy sometimes.
And a lot of them are really, really good.
I know. I agree with
They're
you.
really, really good, and they really dedicate themselves to recreating the sound.
The look.
And to me, the look,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that to me is a form of artistry of carrying on the tradition of celebrating the music in a ritualistic live fashion.
Preserving the legacy. And another thing, too, I mean, tell me if you agree on this. A lot of times, some of these places where people live, I mean, anywhere, it could be any place in Canada, United States, anywhere in the world, some like the bands, and a lot of misconceptions, people say, well, how come Van Halen, or how come this band doesn't come to Australia, or how come this band doesn't come over here? The band would love to come anywhere in the world to play for you. They want to play, any band, but it's whether the festival bookers book them. So in a lot of these small towns, cities, the bands won't come to there. So the tribute band to band X will play in that small town. That's maybe the closest that you're ever going to get to see that real band. That's why they're popular too.
And also, some of these bands, for instance, I know someone who plays in the Pink Floyd
Mhm.
tribute band.
Great.
You're not going to get Pink Floyd together.
No. It's
Not
gonna-
with the guitar player.
No.
Who wants to see Pink Floyd without those guitar solos?
I know. I
It's
know.
like, okay, well, I go to see the guitar player's version. I'm hearing the solos, but I don't hear the singer for those screechy songs on the wall,
Mhm.
and vice versa. I don't want to see necessarily a guitar player replica with the real. And also, the tribute band, they don't bring all that drama. 'Cause again, these
That's
bands
true.
are loaded down with all these dramas that we've all had to live through with them. They're played
Yeah.
out in public.
Yeah, that's a good
And
point.
I don't know. These are some of my music.
I like that. I've never thought about the drama that comes along with it too, because the separate tour buses, the separate hotel rooms, separate check-in IDs at hotels. It's crazy. And so that's one thing
And that will come through in the music.
it does, whether you want to or not. Yeah.
They may think that, oh, you just put on you put on the makeup like a clown and go out and smile, and they know it's music is your soul. So it's going to translate. If the band members are not making eye contact with each other on stage, how can they communicate musically? And then that becomes a very cynical exploitation of the fans, I think.
I agree.
That does not seem right. I mean, I guess I understand why they do it. At the level at which some of these groups are, it can't be for the money.
No, because money is not. It can be rewarding in some cases, but for the most part, it's compensation for your love and your hard work that you put into it. Some sacrifices, like your babysitting and your gas and your meals.
They probably just love playing and they want to keep going. I mean, it's important to know when to quit.
Yeah. My piece of advice, what I'd give to anyone, because I've come from a tribute band, and it was a Van Halen tribute band. If you're going to do it, and I'm not saying I did it 100% right, because I didn't, not even close. But with the advice I'd give, if you're going to do it, as opposed to being an original artist, go into that tribute band as if it's your own music. Give it as much as you would apply to your own music. Look the part, be the part, feel the part, own that part for that 45 minutes, 90 minutes, whatever you're on stage, and walk off that stage, mingle with the crowd, go back and do that, repeat it in and out, day and day, and you will be very good.
I mean, my band does do cover songs.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are deconstructed. We do an ABBA song called Gimme, Gimme, Gimme in a Mr. Bungle style.
Okay.
Where 1 minute it's heavy metal. Because Yngwie did this song. So Randy, the guitar player in my band, is incredible shredder. So we can do some really fun stuff together with our solos. But he's doing all the sweeping, and then it goes like cocktail party jazz version, and then it's hard rock again, and then it becomes a tone poem, it becomes atonal music. So we try to sort of upend and play with and reinterpret. But I also see myself sometimes as in the song stylist vein. So for instance, Judy Garland, took very traditional songs and made them her own.
Certainly.
I mean, she didn't write her songs.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or Barbra Streisand would, sometimes a singer will sing someone else's song.
Of course.
So, but I also am slowly writing music. It happens so very slowly for me. And I struggle with writing vocal parts for myself. So I might bring on a collaborator. I'm not
That'd be
sure.
nice. That'd be nice.
Sometimes it can get very lonely.
Of course. Yeah.
To spend all the time with the guitar.
I'll look forward to hearing some of that. That'll be fantastic. I know the fans will be really anxious too. We're going to wrap up in a minute, but I want to jump over to the chat in a second because I know there's a bunch of people. I just want to at least say hi to them. And I have to give a little nod to you tonight as well, too. I have like 50 Van Halen t-shirts here in the house because obviously Van Halen Store is a sponsor of the show. This wardrobe tonight is all for you. I wore the Smokin' Baby 1984 because I know you like the 84 album. So the t-shirt tonight is just for you, okay?
Thank you. I love the 1984 album.
There you go. That was just for you. I even told the better half here, I said, okay, I got so many shirts, and it was all these shirts, and it seems like I wear the same one all the time, and I don't. I had to do something special for Mrs. Smith, so there we go. So let's jump back over the chat real quick. Mike Francis is here. Chris Jones saying hello, everyone. Cutter Savage, what's up? Mark Taylor, Humbucker Lover from Guitar News Network is here. My brother, Mac Tech, is here. And my brother is actually the person who taught me my very first chords. House of the Rising Sun, by believe it or not, was my first song I ever learned on guitar. Beautiful song. Yeah. Blimpus Videos. Hello, Eric and Mrs. Smith, Carlo Santin. Well, we're off to a great start, and I'm way behind in the chat, guys, and I really apologize. Dan Wilhite. Night Beats and enjoying the show. Let me see. Floyd Rose says, so want your axe, referring to the Frank and Gem. Thomas Santiago. Hello, Eric and Mrs. Smith. Bane Rocks is loving this. Hello, everyone in the chat from Thomas Santiago. Bresbo. Eric couldn't wait until tonight to see the cat lady. She wouldn't happen to be Steve Vai, would she? There you go.
There we go. There's like a comparison.
I know. Can't escape it. Zach Thong says, what's up, Eric and Mrs. Smith? A cool t-shirt. Bobby Clippers here saying hello to everyone. But Bane Rocks loves the cat piano in the background, and I told you the story why he likes that one. The show he watches on YouTube. And a Nightbeat saying, nope, she's Mrs. Smith. Bruce is saying, hello, EVH Gear TV. Yeah, bring out that cat piano. You can play that while I go over this.
Ready?
Yes.
I know what I'm going to play.
Okay.
Can you see it?
Yes. Yes, we can.
Wait.
No way. Oh my God. Never has that been done on this show. Unchained.
Well, I have to fulfill my obligations.
That was wicked. That was wicked. I'm going to get you to do a show ID for me later, and you have to do that. Hey, this is Mrs. Smith. You're watching EVH Gear TV, and channel Unchained on a cat piano.
Wait, I'll turn off the phaser, and I'll turn on the special effect.
All right.
Oh wait, I keep pulling the I need a longer ear.
Yeah.
There you go.
That is wicked. That was a real treat for the fans for sure. That's totally awesome. Don Shepard saying, good day, gang. Blimpus Videos saying, Miss Barba, Mrs. Smith, get closer to the microphone. Yeah, we had some issues with audio, and I was trying to crank her up a little bit from my end, but we're good. Thank you, Nightbeat. Appreciate that. And Nightbeat, nice to have you here. Let me see here. Floyd Rose, Roses Rock. Brad saying, hey, all Dirty Apes, Mrs. Smith, what gauge and brand of strings do you use, and what tuning and picks? That's a good question.
Oh, I use Diodario 9s, except for sometimes I have a Telecaster that's tuned down.
So 10s?
So I use, heavier for that. And picks, I don't know. I change them up. Somebody sent me some picks they're made of rocks. I haven't tried them yet.
Okay.
So I'm open. I tried a bunch at NAMM.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to know with picks.
It doesn't happen immediately. You have to spend some time with them.
Yeah, and then everyone's saying get bigger ones or thicker ones, and then I never have time to really work with them, you know.
I know.
So I use Fender just heavy.
Yeah, okay. That's good. Good answer. That's the thing. You can't just grab a pick and say this is the one for sure. Even if you think it is, once you spent an hour or two with it, then your mind may change for the better or the worse.
That's right.
Let me see here. Let's do rocks as I'm totally transfixed. I love you, Mrs. Smith. Lau Ketchum. Let me see here. Nightbeat. Let me see. I got the him already. Max Rader's here. Don Shepard. Max Rader. Trying to get to anyone I might have missed. Carlo Santin. Does Mrs. Smith have any good casserole recipes from the Evil Ladies Club? And does she prefer Floyd's on her guitars? I think I probably know the answer to the Floyd, but how about the casserole?
Don't ask me to ask the personal chef. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. No problem.
Yeah, but as for Floyd Roses, yes.
Yes.
Now, this is Ibanez Floyd Rose. This is a Gote. A Gota.
Yep. Goto.
Gota.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gota. I'm, there. I have thought of maybe doing without. I can't decide.
Yeah, it's different when you go to play a guitar that doesn't have a Floyd after playing them all the time. You feel like you're missing your pants or something.
But I also wonder a little bit if I need to kind of
break free,
throw past it or something, or if I'm grabbing onto it.
Yeah, as a crutch.
If it would make me do other things.
Yeah, it could.
But people love. I do my lioness roar. They love that. So
I've seen you do that one on the street. That is pretty scary. And some kids will step back and.
That's pretty scary.
Yeah.
That again, our goddess gave birth to your god. I mean, that's that archetype, and Protest the Hero knew it.
I agree. Miranda Becker says, this is Jamie's girlfriend here. He's at a venue doing sound check. Mrs. Smith, I will marry you one day. That's from Jamie.
I've had 14 marriages. I've had enough.
I bet. Dan Wilhite says, I want a Miku Petal. He says, they're out of production. Some eBay sellers are asking some crazy high prices for them. And Mrs. Smith, can you hook up? Mrs. Smith can hook you up. Contact her. That's from Nightbeat. How was NAMM? So we got it. Yeah, we got a bit of a rundown on NAMM. Fantastic from Mrs. Smith. And actually, yeah, a MacTech. My brother's asking if that's a designer screw eye. It's kind of just kind of like go over the hardware store kind of copy of Eddie's, right, for the eye hooks.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. That's Nick Townsend did that. Yep.
Perfect. Yep.
Now I will say we moved this. He moved this.
And that's awesome, by the way.
So the Ibanez has it on the side.
Yeah.
Somewhere here.
Yep. Right down there.
Right.
To be
but
authentic
he moved
to Eddie.
it to the front, and I love it. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Now I will say that I believe that Mr. Steve was right to move it here because this does get in the way of the whammy bar.
It does. Yep.
Not too bad, but it's a lot here.
Mm-hmm.
But I love how it looks.
It does. It looks more authentic to Eddie.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Mike Smith says, or I just lost it. Or Mike Francis says, did you exclusively play Ibanez or were there other guitar brands that you like as well? Let's take a moment here because this was one of the last things I wanted to wrap up with you anyways. Are there any other companies, like you've mentioned Mezzabarba there and Ibanez, and I know there's some deals that you're working on that we can't disclose it, but is there any other companies you'd just like to say hi and thank you for the support?
Well, Eventide sent me the H9, which
Mm-hmm.
is quite something. It's very complicated and interesting. And then also Lust for Tone. They handmade these pickups, which are terrific. And Nick Townsend said he believed they were some of the best pickups he's ever heard.
Nice.
Ever heard. So check out Lust for Tone. Lust for Tone. And then I also, Mad Hatter Guitar Products.
You know about them?
We're kind enough to put special magical wires, which my shaman said did clear, very real, in a real way, cleared some evil from my guitar.
Oh,
the
nice.
flower guitar.
Okay.
And then I believe that they're in this as well. And then this is their kill switch.
Gotcha.
Mad Hatter.
Okay.
So they're really great and they're sweet guys and they make really, really great stuff. And I think for now that's it. The only other thing I would say is that for anyone in the New York area, I do have a show at the Cutting Room this Wednesday, February 28th.
Okay, good.
The full band show. And come on out and check it out. Doors are at 6, shows at 7, so it's early.
That'd be
and
nice.
It's, like I said, it's everything from Metallica to Van Halen to Jimi Hendrix to ABBA, Taylor Swift.
Wow.
There's something for everybody in this show.
I wonder if you'd even have some Adele. I watched some of your Adele videos today, by the way.
Yes, we did do Hello
Okay.
once, and it went over quite well.
I'll
We'll
bet it
probably
would.
bring that one back. We changed up the show.
Oh, of
We
course.
have a
That's good. You have to.
Set list. We're opening with a Prince song. I won't say which one.
Nice. Love Prince to death. A lot of people here on the show do. They really do.
Of course we do.
Last few comments over here. Jason Sedites is saying, hey, Eric and Mrs. Smith. Nicholas Guitars is here. Josh Bernardin said Mrs. Smith is brilliant. Zeddy EB5150 says, I love the guitar. Eric, this is awesome from Zach Thong. Single Coil Lovers here saying, great show, Eric. Let me see here. Scroll down a little bit more. Russell Taboris here saying, hey, Eric and Mrs. Smith. Same thing again from Michael Madej. I think hopefully I'm pronouncing it right. There you go, Nicholas Guitars. That's it now. Mrs. Smith is ready for a Helix now. Nicholas Guitars is here.
I'm ready for a Helix.
Yes, we got to talk to the Line 6 people for you. I think you would really, really like them.
I filled out their application today.
Good. Fantastic.
No, I love these pedals. I also love TC Electronics. They made this Flashback 2, which I use. It simulates Carlisle in the live show.
Oh, nice.
I commune with Carlisle. This is something that I stole from Jimi Hendrix.
Okay.
Singing along. So what you do is... And it sounds really creepy.
Yeah.
I put the Flashback 2 on and it's got these crystal sounds. But I have to tell you, I've got all these pedals and flying with them.
It's a pain.
First of all, it terrifies the agents because they look in your suitcase and they see cables in these metal boxes.
All kinds of them.
The Eventide looks like, it's going to have a countdown on it.
Well, I heard the story
And
about you clearing out your building, having, kind of like the Secret Service and security come by because you thought you had a suspicious package arrive at your house.
I mean, you have to be careful, like what books you're reading. You know what
Yeah.
I mean, it's like if you're reading like, so I, do I love the pedals? I don't love them.
They
I mean,
work
I
for you.
have them.
They work for you.
I do have to say, a lot of people would probably look at my pedal board and think I use all these Boss things, but design wise, that big pedal, the big thing, that it's your full foot.
Yeah, you're talking about the wah pedal?
No, just the whole pedal. The delay pedal, any of their pedals.
Oh, yeah.
A big press.
Yeah.
The whole pedal is the press on.
Yeah.
Versus some of the pedals, it's a little button.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I know what you're saying. Yeah, of course.
And you're aiming for it with your foot while singing
And high heels.
playing guitar.
And high heels.
Yeah. And while trying to be witty and also keeping in mind, what's the audience doing? Are they leaving?
Yeah.
Is the drummer mad at me? What is the guitar player thinking? Why is the keyboard player looking at me with a blank expression? Oh, and while I do that and play and spin, I'm going to aim with a little foot for a little button.
Yeah, that's one thing Boss has got right for sure. A lot of other things too, but yeah, you cannot go wrong. It's either on or it's off. There's no in between. There's no, okay, did I hit it? You did.
Now, as we said, I have not been able to explore the stereo, the triplicate amplifier, Edward's brilliant live setup.
Wet, dry,
I do
wet.
know someone who did sound for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm fascinated by this idea. I'm fascinated with the idea of stereo delay.
Oh, you're going to be in a whole new world.
I want to explore. However, often with these shows, you got to load in quick. You don't have a lot of sound check.
Yeah.
And then there's an act after you. So with all those pedals and plugging in the pedal power and all the cables and the weight of it all,
Mm-hmm.
I just,
Looking for
and then
simplification.
sometimes I'm going off to do a gig somewhere, like I'm going out to East Milford, in Connecticut to do it in a little bar.
Yeah.
And I can't bring even an amplifier.
Yeah.
So let's talk.
Yeah. I'll share some information with you for sure. Frank McNeil says this is way cool. She puts the church lady to shame. Much hotter too. And then he puts, because of the guitar, of course, don't want to get struck by lightning. I like that one. That's good, Frank. I like that.
I'm old enough to be your aunt.
Mike Bledsoe says, will you be touring? Are you beginning through 2018? Other than like the club gigs, are you doing any tours or anything that you can mention at this point?
We have a big gig in the works in New York City that I can't talk about. I have another gig, again, in the works with a prominent presenter in the guitar world. I have some clinics in the works. Meza Barba is working on some international opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I will go back to LA. And then we're also, in the process of continuing to create the video content. People want lessons, they want advice columns, and so, do check out my Instagram, Mrs. Smith-Cat MRS.
I have you down in the description.
Check out my Facebook. I'm less excited about Facebook these days.
Yeah.
It's kind of horrible, and then also my YouTube, The World of Mrs. Smith. I mean, I think YouTube is really where I'm going to be focusing on.
That you're probably best there, and I have all three of those links down below too. And I do think your YouTube is probably the best go-to resource. The Instagram is fun to check you out while you're in the checkout at a grocery store or something, but YouTube is where they're going to be, spending some time and hanging out for sure. I agree.
Well, you're great with YouTube, so I would love for you to peruse my channel. And
I've been on there.
To hear your thoughts.
I've been on there all day today. In between, trust me. Whenever I have a guest on the show, I spend a lot of time in their world. So I've already subscribed, and I do recommend people subscribe for sure. Jay's Tacos Guitar says, Mrs. Smith, would you say there's a sense of graduating from Vai to EVH? He says, nothing against Vai, but EVH is a breath of fresh air after being so Vai for so long.
I would never say graduate. I would never say graduate. I think that you. I don't know what it was. There was something in me where I was suddenly possessed with an interest in his playing, and I couldn't stop listening to it. I think it was the groove. I think it was the boogie woogie, and I think it was the rock and roll in him. And then when the guitar was made, this was it was a vision that then turned into a kind of stunt, a kind of joke.
Yeah.
But to see the response to this guitar at NAMM,
yes,
people were transfixed it, and they were inspired. And anyone who, if I run into people and I have it, I let them play it. I want people to enjoy it.
Of course.
It did inspire me a little bit with the rock and roll. We added a Van Halen song into the show.
Okay.
I mean, every time we've always done a bit where I go into Norway, we do a Metallica song, I come out of it with a Voodoo Child and then a drone solo over E, and so I'm playing. I'm playing stuff in E, and I always end with. And then the audience knows what's coming. And then I play. Now I know I'm not playing it in the right key.
Of course.
No,
I know.
Down, and I don't have the D thing because I don't have it. But and then the drummer comes in. Dun, 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 and then you hear the audience. Woo! Ah! They start to go totally wild. And then I come in with it. Unchained! And nothing stays the same. Unchained! And they're like, oh! And then we only do the chorus. And then we go, boom, right into the band solos.
Yeah.
And it's an electric moment in the show, and it's an EVH moment.
There you go. And then remember that. That is absolutely fantastic. Last piece of advice, Black Corvo says, if you want to check out some cool new music, I recommend you look up Just Fern, a great modern punk artist. Eamon Wise says, Mrs. Smith, you're one of the most active live guests Erica's had, I think. Breaking off every now and then to play is a good thing. That's a good thing, yes, Eamon. We'll do that more often for sure. And Bresbo says, this is so funny, Erica. I'm laughing so hard. Tell the cat lady hi for me. And I just did for sure. This is really good. John Cobble, you have an absolutely gorgeous vibrato, he says. Fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
This is cool too. Kimbler says putting the EVH stripe design on the Ibanez is a stroke of great taste, a double homage. And this is a good question. We can probably wrap up with this. From Carlo, my friend in Canada here says, Carlo Santin says, Mrs. Smith, why didn't your husband pay the ransom and where is he now? He's not ground up in ground beef and distributed amongst countries or anything, is he?
Well, Patty Hearst completely stole my moment. And it's all to say that I think that she cast a shadow over my story, where somehow people believe that I had perhaps architected this kidnapping, when there were signs to point that perhaps he had. And so when I came back, there was a disavowal. When I came back, there were charges. When I came back, there was international questions to be answered, Interpol. There were people asking I was put in a room, okay? I was almost put in a rubber room.
Yeah.
And I often feel like I'm in a rubber room. So he, that became the perfect way for him to absolutely evade. And then, of course, came the papers. And I signed them with aplomb.
Of course. Well, there's the story. We're gonna wrap up here in a second, guys. We gave you 2 hours tonight, folks. You got a real bonus tonight. And
2 hours?
Yes, almost. And we couldn't have had a better guest to go 2 hours for sure. And you know what I always like to do here on the show? I mean, I could go 3 hours, 4 hours, as long as it's not past your bedtime. But I always like it when people want more. So there's going to be an open invitation for you to come on the show anytime you want. And I know the fans would love to have you as well, too. Robert Baker's here in the house, so just watch his live show. You must know Robert Baker. And if you don't know Robert Baker, he was at NAMM.
Of course. Hello, Robert, darling.
Yeah, he's all over NAMM. He's all over the place. He's phenomenal. Got to see his live show tonight just before mine, which was cool. He was trying out a new Dan Electro guitar, which was very beautiful, sounding nice with the lipstick pickups. I won't be able to get a chance to get to everybody now in the bottom of the chat. I just want to thank everyone for coming and hanging out with the two of us.
Thank you.
I knew we were in for a treat tonight, and I knew it was going to be a little different than the normal show because we have a little bit of comedy and some shtick and some Van Halen and some Steve Vai and everything. That all goes so nice when you mix it into a nice big stew. So I want to thank you graciously from the bottom of my heart for coming in and warming up everyone's weekend. Wishing you the sincerest best in everything you do. And you're kicking our butts, and none of us are ashamed of it. We like to watch and learn. And by all means, please keep in touch. I'll be in touch with you to share some email contacts with you as well. And just tell us what's next for 2018 as we wrap up. What are you looking forward to as we get into spring and some of the nicer weather coming up?
I'm doing some writing.
Good.
For something quite big.
Okay.
That I'm excited about.
Okay, that is really
We'll see
good.
what happens.
And hopefully, we in the coming months you can share some updates on that with us, and maybe we can celebrate with you. That'd be great. We'll keep our fingers crossed.
Well, thank you so much for having me on here. This is an unexpected invitation and an absolute pleasure, an opportunity for me to meditate on this topic and on these topics. So I really appreciate it.
No problem. It's nice and relaxed. We're just hanging out. We're chatting in our living rooms.
Exactly.
That's right. Listen, that's fantastic. I'm going to say goodbye to you off the air, so hang on for about 15, 20 seconds. Everyone over in the chat, thank you so very much, and I do kindly...
Bye, EVH gear!
What a send-off. What a send-off. Come back at 2 o'clock on this Sunday, 2 o'clock at Eastern Standard Time, 2 p.m. Rich Antonelli from the Rocker Dad podcast and Bon Jersey Tribute Band is coming on the show. We're going to be talking about a lot of Line 6 stuff, a lot of guitar, a lot of Van Halen, and just going to have some fun as a doubleheader weekend on EVH Gear TV. Contest coming very soon and some great giveaways as well, too. So watch for an announcement on that. And thank you so very much. I'm going to say goodbye to you off the air, so don't go away. Everyone, you rock. Thank you so very much. Talk to you real soon. Cheers. Now on Patreon. If you enjoy my content and wish to support my channel and what I do, then please check out my Patreon page at patreon.com/EVHGearTV. Your support assures the continued growth of this channel and a fun community in which to share our love for Van Halen, music gear, and much more.
Hey, my name is Eric and I'm playing the Frankenstrat guitar.
Video production services provided by Design 39 Media. Visit design39media.com for all your website, photography, and video production needs.